What do you want? Do I know you? Really? Lots of people know me, so what? I'm a little busy right now. I've got a bowl of wine that needs drinking, so why don't you just find someone else to bother? Who? I don't know anybody by that name, and I don't know anything about slave traders. Leave me alone. I have nothing to say to you, so why don't you just keep moving? Look, you don't have to get that way. These guys are ruthless. I'm just looking out for myself. I hope they decide to kill you instead of me. Come on, I'll take you there now, but I can't promise you'll get a warm reception.
Zibao, what is the meaning of this? Summoning me to this place was bad enough. You know I can't stand the stench of these beasts. I've already dealt with the last shipment of slaves, and with that damned prefect poking into our affairs, we have to be extra cautious. Now, there's an unknown quantity in this little meeting. Just who are you? In the slave market, are you? Funny how I find that a bit suspicious, especially given that we've had run-ins with several of Prefect Shitong's investigators. Zibao was a fool to bring anyone here. We can't afford anyone nosing into our affairs right now, and you've heard too much. Get her, boys, but don't kill her. We'll get quite a bit of silver for this one.
Longsword!
This has gone far enough. You're far better than the last dog who dared cross us. Maybe I was hasty in my decision to attack you. I have an eye for raw talent. That helps when picking slaves, but it comes in handy in sizing up potential allies. Who are you, and why are you here? You're clearly too skilled to be one of the fools hired by Prefect Shitong. So what business or grudge do you have with us?
This kind of thing cannot be allowed to continue.
You're one of them, are you? Another fool like that scholar Song Tao, always thinking the poor are worth saving? You're better than that. You've just shown me your strength. Any poor wretch who had the discipline to fight like you wouldn't let themselves be enslaved. Someone like you deserves to work with me, not oppose me. I have a friend who could use your help, and I'm prepared to pay for it. If only I had a silver coin for every time I've heard that. Come then, let's end it.
Longsword! Your technique is flawed!
There you are. The governor sent Ho Chong, one of his lapdogs, to oversee the trial. I hope you learned something, or I'll have to proceed with Song Tao's sentencing. He took you there? That's incredible. That's remarkable. Well, what did you find? Have you discovered evidence that exonerates Scholar Song Tao?
Ha! That doesn't prove a thing. Pieces of paper can be bought and sold just like anything. Just like anyone.
I'm afraid you're quite mistaken, Chandlerling. This proves a great many things, including your guilt. I never suspected the slavers were so well connected.
Let me see that. Well, this certainly looks interesting. I suppose Scholar Sung Tao can go free then. And you, Chandler Ling, will come with me for sentencing. It will be quick and harsh, I suspect.
This sort of thing will not be tolerated in the Empire.
It's all a lie. You don't know what you're doing. You're all making a very big mistake.
Thank you. Thank you for risking yourself to help me. If there's anything I can do to repay you, please ask. You are too kind. I have no real way to repay you. However, I do have some items you might be interested in. They're not here, of course. Come and find me in the Scholars Garden, and I will be glad to show you what I have. I'll see you there. Goodbye, and thank you again.
I feel much better knowing those slavers have been shut down. If only I had known you when my daughter was taken from me.
They say you're in good with the guild. You're allowed into the back rooms where Sweet Poison Lynn runs her shop, aren't you? I know you have a brilliant career to attend to here, but I have a favor to ask of you if you can spare a moment. I know you're allowed to go freely into the back room past Kui's office. Would you carry a message to someone in there for me? There's a merchant in the back named Sweet Poison Lynn. She has connections with the guild, the real authorities in this place. I want to expand my operation, but without the guild's approval and protection, I can only take very small bets. If I made any larger transactions, they'd be quite upset. I spoke to some of the lesser guild members, and there's a set fee that must be paid to Sweet Poison Lynn. It took me some time to save up the silver, but I have the fee. I just can't get back there to talk to Lynn and pay her directly. If you could go in there and pay her on my behalf, I'd happily repay you. I would never do that. I'd be shut down or worse in a heartbeat. And there's too many people who'd happily report the infraction to Sweet Poison Lynn. The guild rewards those who can prove that people in my position aren't playing by their rules. My thanks. I'm sure Sweet Poison Lynn knows about my interest. I've been angling this deal for a while. You should run back there now. The sooner you go, the sooner we can up the antes.
What do you need from me? Dao Shen? He has angled for a long time for our permission to run a larger game. He's honest to a fault, but he still pulls in a fair bit of cash. I was wondering if he'd be resourceful enough. One of my associates has already told him of the cost involved. Are you here to deliver his payment? His payment? Good. Give it to me, and I'll send someone to go discuss the new terms of his operation. Now, back to our business, yes? I have my sources, some of them rich, some of them poor, and all of them very concerned with their privacy. What the Imperial bureaucrats don't know won't hurt them. First they decree wind maps off limits, and now there's concern over magical artifacts. Do you have any idea how much magic the arena itself holds? These walls have seen more than you or I can imagine, and there's enough security for me not to worry. Magical enhancements and knowledge. Have a look at my wares and see for yourself.
Before you say a thing, I had a visit from one of Sweet Poison Lynn's contacts. Fantastic news! I can up the bets! Now you can wager 10 or 25 silver on each roll. This is perfect! And I have you to thank. Thank you again for paying the fee from your own silver. Here's your repayment and a little extra for your time. A thousand thanks to you. I promise to use your generous gift wisely. Now that we can play for larger bets, what say we set up a game? That's what I was waiting to hear. So what'll it be?
Will your roll be higher or lower than mine? High it is. Let's see how sure you are. How much will you bet? Let's see how they fall, shall we? Not enough spin on the wrist to best my roll, it seems. Don't worry, you'll make it back on the next round. What say we try again? Thanks again for all your help. Be seeing you around, I hope.
Saw you out there in the ring. You got real potential. Even Fang was impressed. Normally Fang's into rough girls, but he likes them dirty too. You're a bit too classy for his taste. He'd rather watch you in the ring than have a more intimate meeting. I guess he figures the more he talks to you, the less time you have to inflict horrible, bloody carnage on someone in the ring. I wouldn't call him sick and twisted. That's an insult to sick and twisted people everywhere. Fang's on a whole other level. I never used to believe the stories, but now that I'm working for him, I can honestly say he's the most degenerate and perverted man in the whole empire. But he pays well, very well. Enough so that we pretend not to see what's going on, though I still feel bad for Breezes sometimes. Not without an appointment. His schedule's full for the next month. All the ministers are coming in from the outlying towns to make their reports. If he's not meeting with a minister, he's relaxing here, hoping to see somebody beaten to a quivering pulp in the ring, or maybe torn apart by one of the animals. Yeah, that or he's taking a break with Breezes. Poor girl. No amount of silver is worth what she does for him. Gentle Breezes. She's Fang's, concubine. She's over in the next room with the common folk. Fang doesn't like to be seen with her in public. He, doesn't mind her getting up close and personal when they're in private, though. The things she does for him. Okay, good luck in your next fight.
I'm not really in the mood for company. Judge Fang wanted me to try something special last night, and I still haven't quite recovered yet. Get rid of him? What do you mean? Remove him from office or something else? Really? I was hoping you wanted to kill him. The world would be a better place with that disgusting pig dead and buried. But as much as I want to see his bloated corpse floating in the gutter, Fang is a dangerous man and he keeps my pockets lined with silver. I hope Fang gets what he deserves, but you'll have to do it without my help. No. Even if I was willing to give up all that silver, if Fang finds out, he'll make sure I spend the rest of my days begging for death. It's not worth the risk. Wow, that is a lot of silver. And I'd love to get out from under Fang's boot heel. I'll help you. You wanted Fang dead, right?
I'll admit that it's a tough call, but I don't know if the Inquisitors are looking to have Fang murdered.
It'd be easier to kill him. Fang's reputation is already as dirty as it can get. As long as it doesn't get in the way of his job, everybody just turns a blind eye. Well, every document Judge Fang approves has to be stamped with his imperial ring. Losing the ring is a major offense. And if it was revealed he lost the ring during one of his sexual escapades, even Fang wouldn't want that to come out.
What are you doing here, Breezes? You know I don't like it when people see us together in public.
Don't be mad, my mighty and manly Fang. I was just hoping we could go upstairs for a bit. I've got a treat for you. Here's a hint. They're silk.
I'm surprised you're so eager after last night. I'm glad to see you're finally becoming more receptive to my special needs. Well done, Breezes. If a little tame for my tastes. I think tonight you should wear the blindfold. I have some interesting surprises in store for you.
I can hardly wait, oh great and virile Fang. Here's the ring. Fang will do anything to keep people from finding out he lost it to a whore, even if it means resigning his post. Show the ring to his guards and they'll let you through. I better disappear for a while, but make sure you tell him where you got it. He'll be sorry he ever touched me.
Look, we already told you, Fang doesn't want to be bothered. He just wants to relax and watch the arena fights. Yeah, if he doesn't get his daily fill of blood, violence, and gore, he'll be snarly all day. And he's hard enough to work for when he's in a good mood. How did you get... No, forget it. I don't want to know. You better go talk to Fang about that ring. Yeah, we don't want any part of this. Some of these new fights can be delightfully savage. Do you mind? How can I enjoy the crack of bone, the screams of pain, and the glorious geysers of crimson blood down in the arena with you bothering me? Or are you here to offer your services for later? Normally I prefer women who reek of the gutter, but I'm willing to branch out if you beg me. Is that so? Let me guess. Some sense of moral outrage at my perversions, no doubt. Well, my tastes are already well known at the Imperial Court. Nobody cares about my predilections, as long as I don't let my activities interfere with my duties as a judge. My ring? But how... That harlot. I should have suspected something when she came to me willingly. Usually I have to command her presence. Well, it seems you have me in an awkward position. I can't let it be known that I was foolish enough to let a whore steal my ring. I would lose my position. So, what is it you want from me? Silver? An imperial posting? What? Of course. Now I understand. The Lotus Assassins are behind this, aren't they? I should have known something like this would happen. They tried to bend me to their will, but I'm not easily broken. Or so I thought. Are you proud of yourself? Bowing and scraping at the feet of your Lotus Assassin masters, helping them to bring me down? You think I'm an evil man, don't you? You think my soul is rotten and corrupt. But at least I have a soul. The same cannot be said for those you now serve. The Lotus Assassins destroyed me. But now that I am gone, I wonder where their attention will turn next. Keep a close watch over your shoulder, friend. My resignation is on the table. Take it and stamp it with my imperial ring yourself.
The Bronze Division champion approaches. I hope you're ready for the challenge awaiting you in the Silver Division.
Remember, Soldier's the champion at this level. He'll be watching you.
Dogs nipping at my heels aren't worthy of watching.
What do you need? Soldier is a worthy opponent. I hope you understand how many warriors have tried to extrapolate him from the Silver Division Championship. He'll be watching you, so expect him to anticipate your style if you face him. Now that you are champion of the Bronze Division, the Silver Division awaits. It seems that, indirectly, this serpent has decided to keep your career interesting. A demon has been added to the regular roster since your earlier victory, and since you've shown aptitude, I'm letting you face him first. This is indeed an honor, though it will not be easy. Are you ready to defeat this horror? Excellent. Follow me and we'll get you ready for your next match.
Will the demon rend flesh from bone, or will a lone warrior prove stronger?
Another demon falls. We shall have to add a new division for you alone if this keeps up. Kylon the Serpent wishes to speak with you personally. This is a rare honor. Do try to be polite. You have already been granted access to the back room of the arena, and the Serpent's private chamber is just off of it. You may as well go now and see what he wants. Oh, and one other thing. The Serpent has requested that you visitate him alone. I know you usually have a friend with you, but they'll have to remain behind for this meeting.
We should have told you that Kylon will only see you alone. Are you ready to go in now?
Be wary. Kylon could either be a strong ally or your worst enemy. If anything goes wrong, I'll be waiting with the others, and not far off.
It is vital that we talk a moment. You handled yourself well against the demonic servitor. It was a rewarding experience for us both, I'm sure. Take this as my thanks. You are a smart young woman. Smart enough to know that you will get much further as my friend than my foe. You may find that certain opportunities, mutually rewarding arrangements between us, will come your way in the near future. Cheat is such a pedestrian term. I prefer to think of myself as a creative engineer. Like the fountains that channel water throughout the land, I spread entertainment to the people. Right now is an interesting time for an organization known as the Guild. I've no doubt that Qui has told you about us, if you didn't already know. Our organization is involved in many different activities, most of which operate below the view of the authorities of this great empire. I am suggesting that we align our goals for a time, an arrangement that could benefit us both. The Guild, you see, has recently developed a vacancy in its upper echelons. A man by the name of Gao the Greater has been killed, and with his death, a new leader must be chosen. I intend to replace him in that role, and I need good people to back me. You knew him, yet you aren't associated with our organization. The logical conclusion is that you are his killer. If you are the one who killed Gao, then I owe you a favor. Consider my reluctance to turn you into the Lotus Assassins a repayment for that debt in full. There is the matter, however, of your friend, Whirlwind. I'm sure you know that he was one of the fighters here and that he left the arena. But do you know why? He has good reason not to tell you about this part of his admittedly spotty past. Whirlwind's past is certainly a colorful one. Did he tell you that he was thrown out of the arena? Public displays of rage and drunkenness, uttered threats of murder, excessive violence, property damage, and I believe several charges of defecating in public. If you trust him, you are a fool. The Black Whirlwind is an impressive fighter, but he is better avoided than confronted. We couldn't let him fight as he was, so he left. His brother, Raging Ox, wisely stayed here and went on to become champion. You could reach that point yourself, you know. Indeed, that's a distinct possibility. To become champion yourself, you will need my support. That means you and I will work together closely. A wise position to take in any negotiation. I can respect that. You see... What is that noise?
Hey, you can't...
Damn you, serpent! I'll kill you where you stand!
No, you won't, Whirlwind. Just like last time, you will leave. I can see that this polite discussion has concluded, as so many do, in your odorous presence. We may talk again, perhaps.
We're leaving now. You and I have to talk. Alone. It's important. Look, you can't trust Kylon. I know he was probably offering you the world, or maybe all the wine in it if he were really crafty, but...
You didn't honestly think you were going to slip down here after that little display, did you, Whirlwind?
Step back, Joe. For once in my life, I've got something important to tell someone.
You have nothing important to say, you lummox. You've embarrassed Kylon the Serpent, and I'm going to make sure you never get a chance to repeat your performance.
I've been waiting for this. Time to cut off the serpent's tail! Fought like a monster for a little guy. Better than I've been in a while. All this best behavior when you're in the city business was wearing on my nerves. Not the first time I've gone up against one of Kylon's thugs, you know. Not at all. Remember I told you I used to fight in the arena? Well, I was the best there was. Then my brother came to the city and decided he'd join the arena too. The arena was about the same as it is now. Kui and Kylon were there and Lucky Cho too, but he was just a runt back then.
my brother became the arena champion, the Raging Ox. They said he retired, but he didn't retire. He was killed. I should know. I'm the one who killed him. Raging Ox was one of Kylon's men. Well, he wasn't always. Kylon approached me first. And when I turned him down, he went to my brother instead. When Ox joined up with Kylon, I stopped getting good matches. Ox was fighting his way to becoming champion, and doing a little work for the guild on the side. He was so cocksure and wouldn't listen to his older brother. Once he fell in with Kylon, he stopped talking to me. Soon Ox became Kylon's enforcer and carried out his bidding. He'd skulk around in robes so no one would know the arena champion was a common thug. One night I followed Ox back to Kylon's. I was drunk and I was mad. I just wanted to tell Ox how dangerous Kylon was, convince him to leave. But Kylon was there. He tried to interfere. I attacked him, and Ox tried to stop me. When it was over, Ox was dead, and my axe was covered in his blood. Kylon just stood there, smiling. I would have killed him if I wasn't so stunned. After that, I left. For the first time in my life, I ran. I ran, and then I drank myself into a stupor that lasted for half a year. You do what you have to in the arena. Just don't fool yourself about working with a serpent. Lucky Cho's death just put you on the Serpent's wanted list. I'd really like to see Kylon's face if you become arena champion. Of course, I'd rather just kill him. Come on, let's go.
I want to hear that you're ready for your next fight. What do you need? This next fight should be fairly simple for you. I once more want to send you up against 4 opponents. The crowd loves those fights. These are tougher than the students you faced before, but should pose no problem. Are you ready to get started? Excellent. Follow me and we'll get you ready for your next match.
We found him just like this.
You did?
3 Reach, the old stableman, found him. He kept everyone else out.
We can trust him. What about Cho? Do we know who's responsible?
Last I saw of him, he was following Silver Phoenix.
She fights next, does she not? Replace the men slated for that match with our own, and ensure that their blades are coated with extract from the ebon orchid. Even the ancient magic of this place could not neutralize that poison.
It will be done. What about Lucky Cho? There are hundreds of people here to see the new fighter. We can't carry the body out of here.
Then we don't. You must always use the resources available to you.
Flashing blades and deadly grace.
I do not know who those men were. The fighters I picked for you to face were not guild men, and they certainly lacked poison-coated blades. The wards are useless against poison. That's a danger we have never been able to solve. Those men were Kailan's, not mine. I keep myself as far away from that end of things as I can. You have to believe that I look out for my fighters. Just before you came up here, I received word from one of the guild men from outside the arena. They send their apologies. I believe they feel Kailan's actions were not appropriated to the situation. You shouldn't have to fear assassins again, not after that message. You are not hearing this from me, but tensions have risen between the Serpent and the Guild itself. He's making a bid for control, and some factions are quite upset. You may feel caught in the middle, but the weather sages say the eye of the storm is the safest place. More than I'd care to. I strongly suspect that Lucky Cho's disappearance was no coincidence. I wondered when things would come to a head. I was hoping Black Whirlwind would just stay away, but he won't, will he? Not while you're here. I wondered. It seemed too convenient that he'd one day just suddenly leave and never return, with only a letter to tell us he was going. I figured that if Raging Ox had been killed, only one person I could think of possessed the skills to do it, his brother. For his sake, I kept my peace. The last thing he needs is accusations of murder. He's already filled a dozen scrolls with records of public drunkenness, crimes against decency, and violence. Now, let's not speak of this again. If you must speak of it, talk to your friend directly. We've had a request from the Imperial Army. They want one of our best to help them test out a small group of war machines known as golems. I've decided to put you up against them. I want you to prove that our folks are superior to anything the Army could devise. Are you ready to show them what you've got? Excellent. Follow me and we'll get you ready for your next match.
The Imperial Army honors us with a most unique trial!
I knew you could defeat those things. The Imperial Army's telling me they figured out some way to improve upon the design, thanks to you. I say stick to traditional soldiers. Sagacious Tien needed no machines to build the Empire. When you walk the streets and hear your name among the crowds, be sure that your ego does not swell like the body of 11 gaping maw, god of inopportune gluttony. I want to hear that you're ready for your next fight. What do you need? I rushed out notification of this match, and we've had the outcriers shouting themselves hoarse. I hear many nobles will even be in attendance. It's rare that the Silver Division rests balanced against a single victory on the scales of combat, you know. That's nothing compared to the skills of Silver Phoenix, who has soared so high so quickly. Words like those spread like raging flames. Will you face Soldier now? The Silver Division Championship awaits you. Excellent. Follow me and we'll get you ready for your next match.
Phoenix take the Silver Division, Iron Soldier will not fall easily!
Soldier is a worthy opponent. I hope you understand how many warriors have tried to extrapolate him from the Silver Division Championship. Be proud! From here, your battles will be even harder. A test, if you will, to see if you stand a chance against the Ravager. Impress the crowd, and you will have your chance against the Ravager himself. I can promise you that. What do you need? Things are interesting right now. Be as careful walking the streets as you are in the ring. I don't think Kailan is pleased with your progress.
Your victories are impossible for the other fighters to ignore. You are a master of the arena, the ground where executioners are born. Perhaps you have potential that you are not even aware of. There may be a role in the executioners for you after all. Why have you chosen to come here when you have already earned the favor of the Inquisitor? Do you wish the blessing of someone less corrupted? That is a strong position to take, and one that we respect. You will have to remember, however, that if we accept you, you will be a mere recruit. If you survive, you will join an order unlike any other. We enforce the will of Death's Hand and the Emperor. We guard the treasures of the Empire. This will be your responsibility. Can you look on silver coins, golden tablets, or prophesized artifacts and think only of duty? Then we will waste no more time. You are adequate, and I will allow you to begin training. Proceed to our fortress. It lies at the far side of the burial ground that is the necropolis, which you may reach through the rich section of the city. Present this token so that they will know you. I expect great things of you. Not many of our recruits possess both the skills to become executioners and the personality to attract such a loyal band of followers. Indeed. Many others think that they are above the norm when they join us, as if acceptance elevates their status. You will learn that conformity to our ways will serve you better. I am well aware of those who come with you, their strengths and their weaknesses. You inspire loyalty in most of those who follow you. That will serve you well. Am I? Or do you doubt your own abilities to deal with them if proven treacherous? In time, you will see that your loyalty to our order is all that matters. If you survive your training and remain in control of your senses, perhaps you will serve at my side one day.
Typical. Sowing seeds of distrust in their new recruits. Once we're out of here, let's go tell the others about our success.
Sa iriagawag, kokonato si iri panoniniku.
Sa iros tiusyat, sa rorasi pa yung kaliir napso ako.
Uno wir na no pa yesu, isana yuyo, ko nirpuk no sangkud na no wana napir.
nuku iwa ir nikasanarir iruru ninua sa irkana. Usair kokonato tanadir katanano shafatoyo kokonato siri panoneniku. Ipaner nuku iwa ir nikasanarir iruru ninua sa irkana. Sata tawi ir wonawa fu kuno sukut nia awafawa ir sutuk. Usair kokonato tanadir katanano shafatoyo kokonato siri panoneniku. Nikasurir kwanano kuni ugnawata ir niknipir. Irkana. Nikasurir kwanano kasa iriruru.
So, things are looking up. You've gained the favor of the Lotus Assassins. And you've made doubly certain of it by aiding both the Executioner and Inquisitor. Very impressive. The way to the Lotus Assassin Fortress is open.
And after we find the evidence against Death's Hand, you will take us to the palace to find Master Li?
I promise, little Dawnstar. After we get what I want from the Lotus Assassins, the palace is the first place we will go. You have permission, so there won't be any trouble entering. It's only after we have the evidence against Death's Hand that they might notice something is wrong.
It would still be good to get some information first. Sagacious Zoo might know something. We should ask him. Where is he?
Well, you should be more careful of who you trust. That is true. I wouldn't trust any of the ragged homeless you have collected. No offense meant to those of you who are actually homeless, Dawnstar. If Sagacious Zoo has gone to warn the Lotus Assassins, you need to move quick. If he's just run off, he is no longer our concern.
Zoo would not turn on us.
The Lotus Assassin Fortress is in the far end of the necropolis. They shouldn't give you any trouble. Just appear confident as you enter. Everything is in place. I'll have my evidence against Death's Hand soon enough. Oh, and you'll have access to your Master Li as well. I don't want you to think I have forgotten your needs. You must go to the Lotus Assassin Fortress like we agreed. Find the evidence against Death's Hand, and I will help you rescue Master Li. I don't understand. You've gained the favor of the Lotus Assassins with a fair amount of ease. What else is there to speak of? Is there something you are wondering? About me? I am Princess Sun Lian, the Heavenly Lily. What more are you worthy of knowing? I do not remember ever being allowed to just be a child. My mother died when I was born, shortly before the end of the long drought and the fall of my uncles. I was in the care of tutors too afraid to punish me and too ingratiating to teach me anything useful. I quickly found ways to sneak away from the palace. They dared not report my excursions for fear they would be punished. They would scurry around all day trying in vain to find me. I met the people, the peasants, the homeless, the thieves. Such a different world from what you see from the palace walls. They never realized who I was. I'm sure they would have been terrified of the army storming in to rescue me. Most just wanted to be left alone. That life was exciting, but also useful. Even Lotus Assassins overlook the beggar on the street, but she still has eyes and ears. Ah, the shadow behind my public self. How else can a curious princess learn what really happens in her domain? I don't have time to interpret the veiled statements of advisors, so I became a thief, an assassin, whatever I needed to be. People will not speak to the princess. Bad news kills the messenger first. Silk Fox knows how to persuade. That is how I learned about the activities of Death's Hand. There are many excuses for a vain princess to retreat from sight for days, even weeks at a time. My father encourages such getaways. And if courtiers ever discovered that I was not where I said I would be, who would dare question the Heavenly Lily? I may eschew the formality of it, but being the daughter of the Emperor still has its privileges. I do not like to speak about that. I try to avoid the court as much as possible. It is filled with sycophants pandering to the fancies of my father, with little or no concern to their own dignity. It is distasteful. I can handle myself better than any of the fancy courtiers who attempt to match me. I know that someday the court will be mine to rule. When I succeed my father, there will be quite a cleaning out, but with Death's Hand manipulating him, that day seems less and less likely. It would be very improper for someone of my standing to say anything, unless you make me a little more comfortable. I have already shared something of myself. Can you tell me something about you? Is there anyone that you care for? Is that so? I do not see as much in him, but you have been distracting me. I am beginning to think that it is intentional. You are an interesting woman. I think we are very similar in some ways. Perhaps we were sisters in another life. Or perhaps we were something else. I begin to wonder what you want from me. Perhaps I'm just too uncertain of my own nature. I live two lives, and I no longer know which is truly me. I should not be ungrateful. Everything in my life is dedicated solely to making me happy, but I am at odds with so much. I am always behind a mask, not just when I am Silk Fox. I am not allowed to show an interest in politics, defending the Empire, or even spontaneous affection. Can you see the dilemma you represent? Not only is our deepening friendship prohibited by station, but by so much more. I have tried to make a place for myself. It was difficult, but I have succeeded, despite Death's Hand or my father or what people think. But you are another matter. When I look at you, I see someone I could know better than anyone. Someone who could understand what I need. It frightens me how much you intrigue me. We need to stay focused on what is important, and that is exposing Death's Hand. Nothing else matters. I think we are through here. Do not hesitate for too long. Sagacious Zoo's sudden flight has made our task somewhat more urgent.
I suppose it is good that the Lotus Assassin Executioner accepted you. I wish I felt better about that. Will you be heading to the Lotus Assassin Fortress soon? When you are through there, the princess will take us to the palace. You've appeased both of the Lotus Assassin recruiters. What else could we possibly need to do? As much as I think it is foolishly dangerous, you need to go to the Lotus Assassin Fortress and find the information the princess needs. After that, she will take us to the palace. We are so close to Master Li. Just a little longer, I hope. Don't go too far. I'd get lost in this city. I know it.
Yes? How can this humble bunmaster assist you today? No. That is a painful subject, one that brings back difficult memories, though not for the reasons you might think. For 4 long years, my bellicose beauty insisted we try and try and try again to have a child. It was a most distressing time. I was so afraid of her for the first year that I could not perform. Her screaming and chastising only made it worse. I overcame that problem, but there were others. No, you have saved my life. You deserve to hear the terrible, awful truth. As I said, there were other problems. My plump plum of a bride is a good deal larger than me. I could compare my nightly efforts akin to climbing a mountain if only it had been that easy. And there was always the fear that she would roll. I am a small man. My delicate frame was not meant for such pressures. I once lost all feeling below the waist, which perhaps was a mercy in itself. Of course, we overcame these obstacles and kept trying for 4 long years. Once she decided we would not be able to conceive a child, her interests declined, thankfully. If we had succeeded, I would not have survived to see a second. I still can't believe it's that easy to become a Lotus Assassin. If I had known sooner, I would have joined their ranks as soon as possible. It would be brutal work, with little reward, and there's a good chance I'd die a hideous, painful death. But it couldn't all be better than married life, could it? As you say, I will be here scrubbing your pots until you call upon me again.
What? What do you want? Tried that once, and it didn't work out. Prefect Mu Hong pledged his daughter Mi-Shan to me after I cleared his district of bandits. She wasn't ugly, so I agreed. The night of the wedding feast, I got more than a little drunk, and in the morning I woke up in the prefect's bed, next to the prefect's wife. I got up and went into my bride's room, and there was a strange man in her bed. I killed the bastard and was about to kill her when Mi-Shan came into the room yelling. Apparently, I had just killed her sister's husband and was about to kill her sister. I tried to tell her it was an honest mistake, but she wouldn't hear it. The brother-in-law's family was pissed, and so was the prefect when he found out about his wife. They tried to subdue me so they could send me to prison. I killed them all swiftly. None of them suffered. Still, Mi-Shan wouldn't leave with me. She kept crying and complaining about her family. Family life just isn't for me. Ooh, this is going to be fun. Those Lotus Assassins won't know what hit them. This might just be the most exciting day of my life. You know, battles like this don't come along every day. We could very well die in there, cut up into small pieces, trying to fight off hundreds of enemies. I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it. Come on, let's go to the fortress and have some fun. I'm a fighter, not a damn history book. No more stories. You've got my fists and my axes. That's enough. Let's find someone to kill.
What do you want? There are spirits everywhere here in the city. Ghosts live inside of the people who remember them, just a little. Everyone has that spark, except for me. I have no one inside of me, except for the Guardian and the other. But some of these people, the ghosts inside them cause so much pain. The ones that hurt, spirits have such sad stories. The people don't know, though. All they understand is that they feel bad, but they don't know why. When you feel bad for no reason, you might have touched one of them. The city is old. So old. And so many people have lived and died here. There are spirits everywhere. I guess I can understand why so many of them feel so bad all the time. But we shouldn't talk about this so much. Who knows how much will draw their attention. We should keep going. Is there anything else you want? Oh!
It's time you and I had a talk, mortal. You've been paying too much attention to this girl's problems and the Guardian's advice. We need more realism here. The girl is already dead. She's a walking corpse. She's nothing to anyone. What I want is the body. I need an anchor, and this little walking meat puppet can provide that. But Chaka gives me trouble. He's in my way. He's weak, but the girl sides with him. To take control, I need your help, and I'm willing to offer servitude for it. Ha! You say that now. But when the time comes, we'll see how much power tempts you. And if you continue to refuse, I still have ways to get my revenge.
ونوير كوبتا إير فنير أكون أسو سيير سكوت أفيفير نوني وصوتي باري نوكاسيسا إير سونكوت نوا باتيا إير ني أك
Yes, yes, what can I do for you? Busy, busy. No time for chatty, chatty. Those assassins will be tougher than Gao's men. Be careful. I need you to do more test flights with my marvelous dragonfly. Right. We will talk later. I'll just think up some new features for the dragonfly. Maybe mole talents for burrowing.
Always happy to help. What do you need? I was just thinking that we should keep at finding a way to the Imperial Palace. It's not that I don't want to talk, but I know time is of the essence, and I'd hate to hold you up. I'd be more comfortable if we made some more progress towards the palace before I use up any more of your time with my thoughts. You managed to satisfy the Lotus Assassins, and that's a major step forward. I just worry that it's a step over the edge of a precipice. Despite my misgivings, I can't help but smile at the thought that you're the reason they're so keen to acquire new recruits. Nothing like thinning the ranks to make some room. Of course. I'll be here if you need anything.